So hello and welcome to Steps to Maths. In this short video we'll be looking at how addition and subtraction are inverse operations. So let's first of all have a look at the number line. If we look at the number line, we're looking at the counting numbers here, the natural numbers or the set of natural numbers. So we're looking at the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on all the way up. So let's say we start at the number 2 and add 6. Let's have a look at what subtraction might do to that. So if we start at the number 2 and add 6 and then subtract 6, we end up back where we started. We also want to look at the idea of associativity. So the term we're looking at here is called associative, and is going to come into use when we're adding several numbers. So let's look at the expression 27 plus 9 plus 18. So there's two different ways we could do this. We might first of all add 27 and 9 and then add 81. Alternatively, we could add 81 and 9 together first and then add 27. When we can group in different ways, this is called associative. So we find that addition has the property of associativity. It doesn't matter how we group together the additions. So associative just means how you group things together. And we can remember the word associative from associate, meaning who you group with. And if we group them in a different way, we find out that it's much easier to do the question that we're looking at. Because instead of adding 27 and 9 and then trying to add 81, it's much easier to add 9 and 81 together to get 90, and then just add 90 and 27 together to get 117. So just a little reminder, going back again, that adding and subtracting are inverse operations. So, for example, instead of going 180 plus 347 and working out what that is, and then taking away 347 in this question, we can know that when we start at 180 and add 347 and then come back down again 347, we've just come back down to where we started. So it's useful when doing mixed operations of adding and subtracting that we think about the number line and we think about where we are in the number line and what's happening. So instead of just rushing into a question, sometimes we can look at the whole expression and trying to figure out a quicker way of doing it. So for example, instead of adding 347 and then taking away 347, we can just do nothing. Similarly, in the previous question when we looked at associativity, we found that it'd be easier to add 81 and 9 together before adding the other number, because it was just easier to do that. So just a reminder again to think about the number line when you're adding and subtracting. Here's a different example. 180 plus 347 take away 345. If you're thinking about the number line, you realize that you've almost returned all the way back down again. So from 180 you've gone up 347 and almost all the way back down except for 2. So in the end you've only added 2 and your answer is 182. So here's a final example. I've got the number 180, I add 347 and then I take away 247. So again, if you think of the number line, you realize you've added 347 and you've come back down 247 of that 347. So in the end, you've only gone up 100. So your answer is 180 plus 100, which is 280. So these are just different ways that you can figure out how to do a question much more simply to save yourself a bit of time. So in the mixed operations questions that you'll be asked shortly, try to think about a quicker way of doing these. Can you associate, which means to group? Can you group things in different ways that make it easier? Or can you recognize that subtraction is the inverse operation of addition and find an easier way to do that?